Well, welcome everyone for being here. Welcome to those watching the recording as well. Thank you for answering my invite. I've only done this one other time. I've only referred one other person in all my years. That was Dr. Robert Cialdini. If any of you know him, the godfather of influence. I knew Cialdini going back to 1989-ish. That's why I was promoting his work. But I wish I knew Mitch back in 1989. Because I'm one of those guys. When I sold my company, my physical company in 2011, I got into this online marketing and sales and webinar. And I was one of those guys that bought everything. I bought the $497 platforms and funnel kits. I bought the $997 courses, the $1,997 combo conference things. I even paid $15,000 for a membership, for a mastermind, to get to meet folks. I won't even tell you how much money I spent because my wife may someday find this recording and I don't really want her to know, but I think she suspects because she saw how much time I was spending. She didn't know the actual dollar amount, but she saw me every day. I'm in the office, I'm writing copy and I'm hiring VAs and I'm setting up funnels, and even had a guy come to my house with his camera, and he's out there for 2 days because I was going to do a launch, and he's got my camera, and my wife comes out there and she sees all this lighting and camera. I'm like, what are you doing? And of course I had to explain to her, this is how you sell online. You do the funnel and then you do the launch. It's kind of mansplaining her about this is, how you sell online, of course. And she just shook her head and, thought that was dumb. So she saw how much time I spent, and none of this paid off. None of this I got ROI 1, which is getting my money back. I never got my money back from any of these. And I certainly didn't get ROI 2, which is a return on the investment. So none of this really paid for itself, except the time I paid for a $997 membership to a joint venture group. And I was in that group for a little while, and I was asking around, like, who does everybody go to for the solutions? Like, who, is in charge here? And all the fingers pointed to Mitch Axelrod. Everyone in this group who are high flying marketers and very successful business leaders said, it's Mitch. This is who you need to see. So I met Mitch. I paid $2,000 to get on his calendar and have a couple of conversations, get access to his new game of selling training. And that made all the difference. Like, I learned a lot from the other 10 years of courses and things, but what I learned from Mitch was immediately applicable, useful, paid off, made money. So I learned more from Mitch than in the previous 10 years combined. So that's why I invited you here. I wanted you to, if you're like me, who has spent all the time and money, sorry. If you're just getting started, if you're anywhere else in the business journey, I just wanted you to meet Mitch, listen to him for an hour, and give you some of the answers that, the knowledge that I learned from him as well. So please welcome Mitch. I'm told that in Zoom language, this is the official sign for applause. So please welcome Mitch Axelrod. Welcome Mitch to your own open house.
Thank you for the jazz hands. And thank you, Matt, for that. My dad was a New York City cop, and he used to say to me, all that Matt talked about and 250 will get you on the New York subway, right? Because he wasn't as impressed as Matt was. So thank you for that nice thing. And I want to try to do our best to make this as usual as possible. And just to give you a little insight into, for the members that are here, they're going to come out and share. We'll do a regular training so that you can get an experience of something. We decided against doing a webinar, where we talk and you listen, and then at the last 10 minutes we pitch, and then it's boop, goodbye. So we asked you to submit questions, challenges, anything that you're wrestling with that you'd like a second opinion on. What's nice about our group is it's intimate. We have a small group we've been running now for close to 8 months, 9 months. And they're going to share a little of their experience, but we want to do as much real training here as we can and help as many people as we can. And that's our whole ethos, is essentially we want to help you both in terms of your mindset, your motivation, and your method. So those are the three pillars of success. And we talk a lot about mindset. We talk a lot about motivation. We talk a lot about values. Our conversations veer off into tangents all the time because it's real. It's not scripted. We don't have a presentation here. I'm going to spend about 5 to 7 minutes giving you a little outline of if you want to join us, what you get for joining us and how you can join us. But I'd like to keep this really comfortable. So the first part of this, we're going to give our members a chance to just come out and talk about, whatever they want to talk about. If you have a specific challenge, issue, and you already submitted it in an email, then we're going to bring it out. Now, we can do it anonymously, or you can come out and speak about it, and we can interact. Just remember, we are recording, and quite a few people are going to get this. So if there's anything private you want to talk about, just maybe use your judgment. All right. But as a group, we're very intimate, very open. People, they share their real stories, challenges, and that makes it authentic. And that's the key word today: authentic. Right. So without too much fanfare, we kind of alluded to 3 specific things that we want to make sure we cover in the course of the next hour and a half or so, 90 minutes. And that is 3 areas of opportunity that every business, except for maybe startup, all right, we're going to give you a formula for starting out and for your network, so that just in case you're new in the business and you don't have existing customers or past customers, where the opportunities are probably ripe and ready, at least we're going to give you a model. I call it rejection-proof networking, how to talk to anybody, anytime, anywhere about anything. And essentially, it's a way for you to capitalize on your network, your relationship capital, and a way to do it you can turn everybody into a networking resource for you. And I came up with this literally 30 years ago, well, almost 40 years ago. And I've used it in many different businesses to start new businesses, launch quickly, and get into revenue fast. All right. So we're going to share that with you. We're going to talk about one question that actually, if you ask your customers one question, and everybody who's a member knows this is the key question that leads to what we call your USA. Your USA is your unique service advantage. Some of you have been around a while. You've probably heard of marketing terms. One of the biggest, most important, most prevalent marketing terms is USP. Anybody know what that stands for?
Unique selling proposition.
Right, unique selling proposition. Now, I've trained 1 million people over the last 45 years, live, mostly face-to-face, and obviously the last 4 years, Zoom. And when I ask people, who comes up with the USP, the answer is universal. We do. We go into a room, we think about it, we come up with what we think is our unique selling proposition, and then we kind of put it out to the world and see what happens. Now, if you're brand new in business and you don't have clients or customers, that's okay, because you don't have somebody to go back to ask the one most important question. However, even if you don't have clients, you could still use the same question in a different context, and then find out how you can use that question to discover what your unique service advantage might be, right? I just want to know, is anybody here like startup, no customers, brand new in business, and you're just launching? Just let us know, because if you don't fall into that category, then we don't have to address it. All right. So everybody has some customers, past customers. Okay. That's the third category, is past, inactive, dormant customers, people you've worked with in the past who are no longer paying you, no longer active in your group, in your program, no longer buying your products and services. Okay. So along the conversation, I'm going to give you 3 models that you can use with each of those, a model for each of those groups. So if by some chance it's our only opportunity to be together and you decided this is not for you, you want to move on, at least you'll come away with a specific model you can use for network, relationship capital, existing customers, and past customers. Okay, fair enough? So with that in mind, let me just open it up to our members at first, just to kind of share what's on their mind. And I want it to be a real training. You don't have to come out and give us a testimonial, because I think in the course of the conversation here, you'll either resonate with what we say or won't, and either case is good. But I'd like to give you an experience of what training is all about. And in the course of it, depending upon what your issue is, your challenge is, your opportunity is, the conversation gets steered in your direction. So essentially, the training gym is like semi-private coaching. All right. But it's not just me. You get the benefit of the wisdom of the crowds. And the wisdom of the crowd is always greater, bigger than the wisdom of any one person. And what's beautiful about our group is everybody shares freely. Everybody contributes tremendously. And you never know who has the answer. I don't have all the answers, and Matt doesn't have all the answers. Our job is to try to extract the answer from within you. And where you don't have the answer, we're going to do our best to give you what I call in my world, a second opinion. How I came up with that, interestingly enough, 35 years ago, I was in financial planning for 10 years. And I used the second opinion because I called myself the sales doctor. And I had a business card, which I would show you if I had it handy. It said, the sales doctor want a second opinion. My business card got me more business than anybody else I know, because there's something in our culture that the second opinion weighs more heavily than the first. So you get in, if you have a health issue, you want to get a second opinion. If the second opinion validates the first opinion or recommendation, then you feel a little more confident because you've had more than one person. By the way, I've taught 100,000 people how to use second opinion marketing. We actually have kind of a module, a training separate from our regular training on how to position yourself to do second opinions. So even if you don't offer it formally, you can integrate it into your language, because you could just say, would you like a second opinion? And sometimes that's enough to get you into conversation, because it's an assumed thing that in our culture, and again, I know we have people from other countries here, and I don't know it's the same outside the US, but second opinions, if they somehow differ from the first opinion, now you have a decision to make. Do I get a third opinion? Or which of those two, the first or the second, feels better to me? All right. And I would strongly encourage you to always get a second opinion for anything important in your life. This group offers you a second opinion. So as part of the group, whatever is your issue, whatever is struggling, wrestling with, whatever is the opportunity is, you have a group of people eager and willing to give you a second opinion. And if you have one, you offer it. If you don't, you don't. Okay. So based on that one marketing principle and one business card, I was able to launch a very successful speaking, consulting, and training company just on that one phrase. All right. Now, eventually, I learned my USP. I learned my unique service advantage by asking my customers. And we'll get to that shortly as to what is that magic question. It's obvious to me, not so obvious to everybody else. All right. So we are going to give you a gift at the end when we get into rejection-proof networking. I'm going to give you my entire rejection-proof networking worksheet. We charge $149 for the training. We go through the training, in audio, but it's part of our membership. And we wanted you to have it as a gift to say thank you for joining us, and you'll never face rejection for the rest of your life. And so I consider that a worthwhile gift. So without any further ado, why don't we jump in here? Anybody want to come out and share? And we have kind of an open dialogue. Now, I realize this is kind of merging two oceans or an ocean and a river together. We've got our people here who know us, who we're friends with, we've been with for 9 months. And then we have a group of guests who are here kind of, I feel like we're at the junior dance in high school, and the gals are on one side, the boys are on the other side. It's like, who's going to be the first to come out and dance, right? So we'll make it easy for our guests and just have a conversation with our members. You can listen in for the first 10, 15 minutes to see kind of how we address things. We talk about successes that we've had. We talk about advancing, meaning if there are relationships that we started, opportunities or deals we're working on, how do we advance it? We talk about struggles, mindset issues, challenges, emotions, whatever comes up. And a big part of our work is about values. In other words, valuing yourself intrinsically for who you are, valuing your services extrinsically for what they're worth, and then valuing your way of looking at the world and seeing the world and seeing things that other people don't see and putting a value on what you see. Many, many years ago, I did an entire year program called Rainmakers for Hire. And those of you who are in business know what rainmaking is. To some degree, we're all rainmakers in our own company, all right? And I developed 7 pillars of being a rainmaker. One of those pillars is that I get paid for what I do, I get paid for what I know, and I get paid for what I see. Have you ever seen something somewhere that when you see it, it's like so obvious to you, but nobody else sees it, or the people that are in the room, so to speak, they're too close to it? A lot of what we do here is we're all too close to our own stuff. We look at it a certain way. And until we get other people to give us perspective, we can't get out of the way we look at things. Wayne Dyer said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And so a big part of our work here is to kind of look at things from a slightly different angle. And sometimes just 1 degree shift in your perception changes the whole picture. So you don't have to have a 180-degree go completely in an opposite direction. And that's where the wisdom of the group comes in, because everybody sees things a little bit differently. And maybe it's Christy, maybe it's Melody, maybe it's Aquila, sees something that I can't see. And they say, well, look, maybe if you look at it this way, and then all of a sudden, boom, the light bulb goes on and you see things. And you, once you see it a certain way, you can never go back to seeing it. You can consciously avoid seeing it, but it's there to look at. And so a lot of what we do is we see things, we try to point out things, and if that has value, how do you get paid for what you see? All right, it's a big part of our training is, do you get paid for what you do? That's good. Can you get paid for what you know? That's better, because now you can get paid for two things. If you can get paid for what you see, you could literally make a business. You wouldn't have to do anything, and you wouldn't have to know anything. All you have to do is see things. I spoke at Harvard 8 years ago. It was a health conference on healthcare leaders all over the world. And the speaker before me was like a heavy-duty troubleshooter. He got paid 25 grand a day. All right. He was so booked up, you couldn't possibly get him in to come to your company for 6 months minimum. Now, in a quiet moment, I said, what do you do? I want to know what you're doing. He said, I don't do anything. They call me in to see things that they don't see. I said, good work if you can get it, right? 25 grand a day, because he could go into a situation, look around, and see what the people there don't see. And because it was a high risk, high value, very short time integration, when he came in, it was like one day, you gotta see whatever you see. All right. Many of us see things, but we don't charge for it. Have anybody ever see things in a situation and just kind of give it away? Because we think that what we see maybe doesn't have value, or it's part of what we know, so we give it away. So what I'm saying to you is, if you set up 3 categories of how you can get paid, what you do, what you know, what you see, it might just be what you see has more value than what you know or what you could do. But you have to put a value on it, and then you have to convey it in such a way where if I saw something in your company that literally could save you $500,000 in expenses, or make your production much more streamlined, or maybe get more business out of your existing customers that you already spent a lot of time developing, what would that be worth to you? And if it has an economic value, then you should charge for that. And guess what?
I think how often I've said what I saw just to impress people in order to hire me. And then they're like, oh, thanks. That's what we needed.
Yeah.
And they're gone.
I'm so happy you mentioned that, because that is what the majority of people I've met, and I did it too, because if I can prove to you that I see things, then you might hire me for what I can do and what I know. The other way that people give it away is that if you hire me for what I do or what I know, I'm going to give away what I see as part of that engagement. What I say is, you break your proposal, your agreement, whatever you use to present to somebody, into 3 parts: what you'll do, what you know, and what you see. And before you present that proposal, I suggest you evaluate the value of what you see. And if you don't know for sure, put a question mark and have that discussion. So you're going to hire me for what I can do. You're going to hire me for what I know. And those two things tend to go together. But I see things here. All right. And it doesn't require me to do anything. And it doesn't require me to use my knowledge. It just requires me to look around. I like to say I see things other people don't see because I look in places other people don't look. And I'm as guilty as any of you or everyone. I look at things a certain way. All right. I'm always looking from the inside out, and my vision is always, skewed based on the angle or bias in which I look at things. But if Christy could come along and say, hey, Mitch, move your head this way. You see what I see? Oh, I didn't see that because I'm too close to it. I'm busy running my business, or I'm busy consulting, or I'm busy working with clients, or I'm busy whatever I'm busy with. So it's so important to get an outside perspective who really cares enough about you to help you see things that you don't see. And that's a big part of what the training gym and our work is about. So don't underestimate the value of what you see. And sometimes, the old story, it's a trite story about the plumber, the plumber story, the plumber. I just saw it on Twitter, X. Somebody put this thing is like 50 years old, but they put a picture of an old ship, a like rusty old ship. And the guy comes in, he hires a plumber, obviously. And the charge was like $50,000. And they said, what are you, crazy? He said, yeah, it's $1,000 for the part, but it's $49,000 to know where to tap and where to put the part and how to change it. So that person got paid not for what he did. That was cheap. The actual replacement or repair was cheap, but knowing where and how to make the repair was intellectual property. And we all have it. And we all, I shouldn't say we all, the majority of us undervalue it, underestimate it. And so we look like, what can we do to get paid? What do we know? Get paid. Courses, trainings, masterminds, all right? But I suggest to you that you start to look at what do you see and ask people if what I see could shorten your response time by 10%, or if what I see could get you to put 10% more people into your funnel or pipeline, or convert more of the prospects that, let's say, come into your business, how much would that be worth? And a person might say, well, 10,000, 100,000, 500,000. Okay. Now the question is, what would be a fair exchange for you to pay me what I see based on the fact that you could produce 10? Well, how do I know that I could produce it? Okay, let's sign a letter that says, I'm going to share what I see with you. You're going to agree that if you implement it, make the change, make the adjustment, install it, whatever it is, that you're going to agree to pay me X amount of dollars, X percentage of the upside, or some combination of the two. Why? Because what I see, I don't have to do it. And actually, I don't have to know anything. I just have to be able to convey what I see. And then for you to execute, implement, install, whatever, make the changes. And then let's agree to track it. And you figure out a fair exchange of value. All right. And by the way, sometimes you can see something and parlay that into a knowing or a doing engagement, or combine it. Like, I see this, I know this, and I can do this, right? I use all three. We all use all three in this training. We say, what do you see? What do you know? What can you do? Let's see how to price each one of those. And then we help you price. We have 5 levels of pricing that we talk about: cost, time, project, value, and experience. Too many people get stuck in time and project and don't give themselves a chance to elevate to value pricing and experience pricing, which we talk about a lot here. How do you create an experience of you? You don't have to take people to Kilimanjaro or raft down the rapids or go into the jungle for a week, without any clothes on, or go to Burning Man, let's say, right, Gigi? All right, it's your experience of you. And because you, even your company, you are unique, that's why. So let me give you the magic question for your customers. Our members know this. The one question that changed everything and has changed tremendous, probably I'd say $250 million for my customers over the years. Why did you buy from me? Why did you do business with us? We think we know. However, we don't know. We know what we think, but that gets in our way. In fact, if you think too much, that's a real challenge. You got to get out of your head and stop thinking so much and start asking people. So why did you buy from me? All right. So as kind of an exercise here, I'm just going to kind of throw this open. And I'll ask any of our members who want to, this will kind of get into our training here, but as an entry into the training, I would ask our members just go back and think about, why did you join the training gym? This way you who are guests can get an experience of that question in action. All right, Matt already told you why we got together. We started the training gym. All right, but I'm curious as to our members who are here, why did you decide to join us? And you could take it from wherever you want to take. Melody?
Yeah. I joined when you gave a presentation to our other group on soul, role, and goal. And that really spoke to me because the traditional goal setting just never worked for me. You make your goal and then you do whatever it takes to make that true. But in reality, that's not, I found that frustrating because I found that and you talk about this with the soul, but I found that it was departed from what my soul wanted. And I love the idea of having soul-centered goal setting. And then I took the value profile assessment, which was really helpful, which explained why traditional goal setting doesn't work for me. And then I also took the success DNA, which helped me to understand why I couldn't make progress. And it has been something that I haven't been able to figure out the whole time I've been an entrepreneur, which is 10 years. And then boom, like I just started making all this rapid progress and working through things that I could just never figure out on my own. So that's why I joined, and I'm still here because we've renewed several times. And I've also worked one-on-one with you as well, Mitch, because we're kind of digging deeper and figuring a lot of those things out. And it's been amazing. It's been really eye-opening. It's been more soul-centric, and it's been more true to who I am.
Great. Thank you.
I'll speak.
Chrissy,
Oh,
come on.
Christy. I was also in the group that Melody was in when Mitch presented to us. Yes, the soul role goal was also helpful to me and eye-opening. But another thing for me is just changing my perspective on when I go to a new potential client, and I'm really I had always been focused on getting the sale. Working with Mitch, he helped me reframe that into how can I be of service every time, no matter who it is, and changing my mindset to be more in service to someone versus trying to get them to buy from me, really just made me a more present potential client to someone, and actually just got me more clients because they could sense that about me. So that was like the first main thing. And also just certain things that you guys will learn as you work with Mitch. He has so much content that's really helpful. But one of the things is called the 3 magic words. So anytime I have a conversation now, I use these 3 magic words, and they are alignment, agreement, commitment. And it's just become, I even have a little card here. It's just become my mantra in any conversation, whether it's a potential client, a current client, or even my family. So those are like the 2 main first things for me.
That is a great little motto, and I'm glad you mentioned that for your family, because there's a lot of miscommunication, lack of communication, barriers to communication. And if you want to get commitment from somebody, you can try to convince them, and that's a typical way we gain commitment, is that we try to convince somebody they should be committed to what they want. But that doesn't work if you don't have alignment and agreement. And so when I developed this probably 30 years ago, I realized I didn't want to have the pressure on me to have to close the sale. And I never felt comfortable with closing, your pen or mine. All right. The twist the arm behind the back close, the hammer over the head close. I remember when I started out, I got a video program from now a good friend, one of my early mentors, Brian Tracy, 24 ways to close the sale. And I said, I can't remember this. And I said, you know what? I don't want to close the sale. I want to gain commitment. And it's amazing that big doors swing on little hinges. I didn't create the phrase, but I popularized it. And I look for the little hinge. And to me, the pressure of having to close a sale was counter to my spirit, my desire to serve. And I don't want to close people. Just think of that word, close. It's such a misnomer. It's been around forever. People still use it. I use it generically because people could relate to it. But isn't it so much easier to gain a person's commitment, to let them commit to getting what they want, than it is to try to convince them or close them? And the pressure is completely gone from me having to say, okay, now I have to shift from listening and diagnosis to present and close. Very unnatural. And that's why I developed the 3 magic words. If you get alignment with somebody, you're on the same page, you're on the same wavelength, you know the purpose of why you're together, and you have an agenda and an outcome, you get agreement, not agreement on what you want, but on what they want, then it's easier to gain commitment. And I'll give you a formula that you can use. So I'll come back to that. Remind me to talk about the RAM formula because it's universal and it can help you identify where are people in the buying cycle. We don't talk selling cycles. I've gone into companies where I've reduced their selling cycle by months by just shifting from the selling cycle, which is a historical chronological recap of how long it takes you to close a sale, to going to the buying cycle, And then you find the hungry fish. People that are searching for what you have and are ready to buy it now. Imagine how your business would be different if you dropped your fishing pole into a stream of hungry fish who are already searching for what you have and ready or soon to be ready to buy it now. How would that change your business? Well, guess what? We just gave you the one question that will help you find the fishing hole with hungry fish. Why do you buy from me? All right. And I'll explain how that works shortly. So thank you, Christy. Gigi, you wanted to come out?
Yeah. Hi. Good morning, everyone. Um I was just looking at my emails. It's been 10 months that when I started with this. So I came through this program with Matt from Dr. Cialdini's training sessions, and then discovered the detective school, which was trying to be better at Dr. Cialdini's influence of principles. And then when I saw the soul roll goal, Melody, I had the same response as you. It's like, wow, this was everything, because my whole life has revolved around goal setting. I was an athlete when I was younger, and I never understood how to translate what I could do as an athlete into what I could do, or perhaps should or wanted to do as a business owner, or even as a worker in an employed situation. And the soul roll goal has been eye-opening for me, and it's made me discover my own value. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned from this, is the value that I have and how to be able to take that value and then be of service to others. So it's been, I've made a joke about it a couple of times, like this has been the best therapy I've ever had. And I feel like that sometimes, but it's also been things that I've been able to actually put into practice. I had one incident, I'll call it an incident because really that's what happened. I had an opportunity to get involved in a business, and I put some, not all, because there are many different ways to address what we're trying to do in business, but I used the right method, and I used alignment, agreement, commitment for a business. It unfortunately fell through in the end, but it was a wonderful exercise for me to understand how to use these and how they worked and how it made me feel. And then how I was able to move on when that particular opportunity didn't pan out the way I'd hoped it would pan out. But it was a great training session for me. And for me as an athlete, training is an ongoing thing. And I like the fact that this is a training gym and not just a course that you do, because I invariably get bored with courses and I end up stopping halfway or 2/3 the way through. But when you get to train and you get to practice, because repetition is what really makes the key. And that's what we've been able to do here. But for me, soul roll goal and doing the success DNA has really made a difference. And I'm still training. I'm still putting these things into practice, and I hope I will continue to always train, just like every athlete in the world. You have a coach and you keep training and you get better, and you have more success. So that's my goal with this. And I really appreciate what Matt and Mitch have done here. But and I mostly also appreciate being able to listen to others through Christy and Melody and Jeannie and a couple other people who've been in previous sessions with us, is learning from them and learning what they see. Because as Mitch says, what we each see is a little different, and what their outcomes have been. And each of us, I think, have learned from each other. And it's been extremely valuable. And I value their input. And I now value what I think are friendships that we have with each other. So that's kind of my history of where I am with this. I have to admit one thing, though, is I'm still not putting in as much work into this as I should. And so I feel like I need to do a little bit better, which also keeps me coming back to do the training. So, yeah.
I appreciate that. So Jeannie, if you want to come out, I just want to make sure we're going to share something. I'm going to share a formula with you that I promised to share. So once you identify what your USA is, and by how you do that is you ask your best clients, the ones or customers, the ones you want more of, why did you buy from me? Or why do you do business with us? Some variation off that question, but you don't let it like, I like you, you're nice, it's fun. And you want to really find out. And this is the key trigger. What was it that caused you to go from, I'll think about it, to I'll do it, right? So you want to get as specific as possible. Let me give you a quick story. 30 years ago, I used to do, for 10 years, I did exclusively corporate training. Big companies, many Fortune 500s. And one day I asked the question to a VP of sales, why'd you buy from me? Why did you hire me? You have trainers on staff, you have consultants in and out of here. He said, Mitch, you were the only person that came in here and actually talked about how marketing, sales, and service is one integrated process. And now we've broken down the walls between the departments. They speak to each other. They work with each other. And as a result, we're better able to attract, convert, and keep customers. Oh, is that right? Can I say that? Can I quote you on that? He said, of course, I'll write it down for you. So I went out, did the same question. And when people would say, hey, Mitch, what do you do? I started with 4 words. My clients tell me. When somebody asks you, what do you do? What word do you start with? What word do you start with?
I.
Folks, this is just like
I.
Is it I? It's natural when somebody says, what do you do? To say, I do this. And that's the biggest challenge, by the way. We've found that people have a hard time conveying what they do. They stumble of it. So somebody came up with the elevator speech, which is a waste of time because you never meet somebody in an elevator, metaphorically, right? And I said, I've got to come up with something better. So 4 words changes the whole context of the conversation. Somebody says, hey, what do you do? And you start with I. Now you've got the pressure to convey in that sentence or paragraph exactly what you do. And many of us are not really clear what we do. And if we are, our language is USP language, selling proposition, rather than USA language, service advantage. And you can't say, my clients tell me, if you haven't asked your clients, why do you buy from me? Or do business with our company if you run an operation, all right? So 4 words, my clients tell me I'm really good at helping them attract, convert, keep, and multiply customers. Which one or more of those would you like to do better? And if they say nothing, okay, great. Who do you know? Where should I go? So let me give you the second model. And this is the rejection proof that you'll actually get a copy of. So you can listen and kind of get the context of it. So now you know what you do. All right, let's say you've gone out and you've surveyed 5 or 7 or 10 or 100 clients who you want more of, or customers, and they create a mosaic of what you do, and you're able to get it down to a sentence or paragraph, okay? So now you have what you do, and now you're confident you don't need an elevator pitch, that when anybody asks you what you do, you can confidently say, our clients tell us, our customers tell us, whatever it may be. Now, That's the first of 3 parts to what I developed literally 40 years ago called rejection proof network. Question, just a little bit. Anybody have a little fear of rejection or apprehension? And you don't have to kind of put your hand up. I'm the youngest of 8 kids, yours, mine, and ours. My dad was a New York City cop. I was born a people pleaser. I just want to fit in, right? I don't want anybody to reject me. I wanted my brothers and sisters to just hug me, right? So I had this like I just don't want to put myself in a position. And rejection, by the way, is an internal thing. It's not an external thing. So nobody rejects you. You just frame it as a rejection, all right? Because you reject people every day. You say no to a lot of things, but you don't think about it. I'm rejecting that. And so the first part is overcome that thought of what rejection is. But I don't want to deal with the fear part too big. If we can eliminate the possibility we could be rejected and actually turn everybody we talk to into a networking resource, then there is nobody or no situation in which you will be apprehensive to use the following 3 phrases. And here they are. Here's what I do. Here's why I do it. And here's who I'm looking for. We gave you the way to get what you do. So somebody says, what do you do? My clients tell me, our members tell me, here's what we do. We're able to help them attract, convert, keep, and multiply customers and reactivate customers with virtually no expense out of pocket, except for time and attention. That's what we do, right? Why we do it is because I know from experience that we all have gold sitting in our relationship capital, network, prospects, clients, customers, and past clients. And there's gold in them hills. And we want you to extract it without spending a whole lot of money on marketing and advertising, all the stuff that you do to attract them. These are already people you have a relationship with. All right. And third, and this is the toughest part, who we're looking for. It's very important for you to look at your customer base, clients, whatever, and say, okay, which ones of those do we want more of? And which ones don't we want more of? Because you should set up your criteria to do business with you. And so who we're looking for, you set those criteria of who you're looking for. And that would be who you want to work with best. All right. In our case, it's people who really want to kind of achieve their goals, like Melody and Christy and Gigi and Jeannie have experienced, with a little bit of soul and a whole lot of wool. That there's congruency between who you are, what you do, and where you're going. And when there's incongruency or misalignment between your goal, your role, and your soul, if any one of those is out of whack, you have resistance. You have what we call dimension tension. One dimension of your life is in tension with another dimension, and it's almost always about 90% of us have what we call goal frustration. You're not where you think you ought to be. Anybody ever experienced that, even once in your life, that you're not where you think you ought to be? That is goal frustration. If that distance is small, you don't have much goal frustration. But what if it's way big and you're way off course for where you want to be? You have a lot of goal frustration because you're not getting where you want to be going. And guess what that leads to? What would that lead to? If you have goal frustration, what might that lead to? Members? Role
Whole
frustration.
frustration.
Role or soul frustration.
Or soul frustration. Like, I'm not getting my goal. So you know what? It must be me. Hey, I'm following the gurus. I'm using Cialdini's influence principles. All right. I'm following what they took, the system, but it's not working. So it must be. Now you have tension between who you are, what you're doing, and where you're going. And the prevailing wisdom is set a bigger goal. You're just not working hard enough. Or, like, hey, get tough, get in there. Brian used to say, and we used to battle about this, he said, successful people do what unsuccessful people won't do. I said, huh? I don't buy that. You mean I have to do a lot of things that make me miserable, unhappy, distraught, and stressed out to reach a goal that defines my success? And what if I don't reach the goal? Does that mean I'm a failure? Because in the two-dimensional world of goal, it's goal, no goal. It's not 82% goal. It's 100% or nothing. So the question is, am I having fun at what I'm doing? And if you're not, instead of changing you, you might consider modifying your goal, readjusting your goal, or maybe abandoning it because it no longer serves you. And that is the hardest thing people have to do, is to give up a goal to get more satisfaction out of their role and fulfillment in their soul. And we spend a lot of time talking about that. So the third thing is, who are you looking for? And that's a process of development. And you look at your best clients and then say, oh yeah, I want more of that one. I want more Gigi's. I want more Christie's. I want more Melodies. I want more Jeannies. I want more Matts. Okay. What's common about those people? All right. So here's what I do. How do I find out? Ask my clients, why do you buy? Here's why I do it. One thing I would say about the why is, don't tell your life story. Talk about the passion behind the purpose. The passion behind the purpose. And here's who I'm looking for. Rejection-proof network. 3 phrases, 2 questions, follow up. Who do you know? Where should I go? Or where could I go? Okay, we're going to give you the paperwork on this. It'll be in the chat. That'll put it in there. Okay, so we've talked about now, how can you approach virtually anybody in your network, and especially people who have the potential to lead you to lots of those people you're looking for. So let me give you one other piece to this. Make 3 lists. I work off of 3 lists. People who love me, who would do anything for me, and they're completely unrelated to business. People that you've worked with in business is the second list, who kind of love you, like you, and they would help you if you asked them. Third list, companies, industries, niches that you want to work with. Names of the businesses, kinds of clients, people you know. Among those 3 lists, people who love you, clients who love you, and companies or organizations or people you want to work with, there's a very good chance that there'll be a connection there. And then you can go out and say, okay, here's what I do. Here's why I do it. Here's who I'm looking for. Who do you know? Where should I go? And sometimes people will say, that sounds like me. Can we talk? And that eliminates you having to go in a networking meeting, and everybody's apprehensive because everybody feels like they're trying to sell everybody. And all you're doing is saying, here's what I do, here's why I do it, here's who I'm looking for. Who do you know? Where should I go? Oh, good. That takes all of the pressure, and there's no rejection. Because if they say, I don't know anybody, okay, great. Keep that in mind. I'll come back to you in a month or two. All right. But what if they say, oh, I know Christy, or I know Melody, and you should talk to them. Great. Right. That is rejection-proof networking. I've taught it to 100,000 people over the last 30 years, guaranteed without a question of a doubt, to eliminate rejection. So your job is to answer question number 1 and question number 3, or item number 1, what I do, and now you have a way to find out, and number 3, and then your why. I would say, as Christy really articulated early, and I know we're all want to be of service, but when you're on an appointment with somebody, you've got to really control your mindset to say, okay, what am I here to do? All right. And if you don't feel the pressure of having to close the sale, advance the sale, present, demonstrate, but you can actually put your doctor of sales cap on and say, what does a doctor do before a doctor prescribes treatment? What's the key? Diagnosis. And I think of all the things I've become good at, nothing has helped me more and helped me to help my clients more than becoming really good at diagnosing and asking questions. And we spend a lot of time on questions. And how do you get out of being in your head, thinking about what should you say, what should you do, what should I present, what should I pull out, what? And you're completely present, like you are right now, where all you're doing is gathering, diagnosing, understanding, being with people. And even if by some chance they're not a good candidate, they wind up not buying, I'm sure each and every one of us has gotten business from people who didn't become customers. They like us. They appreciate us. Everybody will value how you come to the game, even if they don't become a customer. And then all the pressure of having to convince them or persuade them or close them is off of you. It's all about them being committed to get what they want. Now, let me stop here. And anybody want to just comment, Matt?
Well, I just want to tie those together. Is everyone familiar with the concept of an avatar? Like selling to your avatar? I was just tying that together what Mitch said, because I was doing surveys for a company. A lot of you know I do surveys, and they had hired a marketer to create an avatar so they could figure out who to sell to. And they paid this guy a lot of money to come up with this avatar. Like he's, he wears glasses. They had a picture of him. It's Andy. He even gave him a name. This is Andy. And he lives here, and he has these pets, and this is his likes and dislikes. And it was all built internally. Like, this is who we sell to. And I was like, that's kind of funny, because that looks exactly like the owner of the company in every way. I wonder if they realize that. So I actually went to their clients who I was already surveying and used Mitch's question. I asked them, why did you buy from this company? And what they said wasn't much related to the avatar. What they were saying is, oh, I buy from them because of the trust factor I feel. And I buy from them because they were just listing all these reasons. And I gave that back to the company. And they were just like, oh, oops, we're looking for the avatar. But when we ask our customers, why did you buy from us? It's a very different profile. So I love that approach, because I never could figure out the avatar thing or why that would work. But they're seeing now, by simply asking these questions that Mitch is giving, not only is going to help them to sell more and attract more, but it's kind of changed their whole notion of the avatar.
Yeah.
Can I add to that quickly? I worked in advertising many years ago as an advertising sales rep. for television, local television. And I had a similar experience where going to talk to a business owner and about selling various channels and where their ad would run. And the business owner was like, well, I'll never see my ad if I'm on those channels, because he didn't watch those channels. And that was something, again, not understanding who you're selling to, because he wanted to see his own ad, thinking that was what made the difference. It's like, well, he's not going to sell to himself. So understanding who it is you're trying to sell to and where they are, where is the pool of hungry fish? And it amused me. And I see it so much more clearly now, in what we're doing here, what that actually meant, and how it didn't serve the business owner or your potential client for them to not know their own business. So yeah, interesting. Just a fun aside.
Kind of like the elevator pitch too, because it became its own thing and everybody started doing the elevator pitch. But and I've ranted about this on in this group before, but one of my biggest frustrations is going to a networking event, and as soon as somebody starts to recite their elevator pitch, they break eye contact, they're trying to remember what their pitch is, and then they say it at you, and that whole connection is totally lost. And it's a big turnoff. Like, I go to meet people and to build relationships. I don't want to hear your hard sales pitch. That's not what I'm here for. And people, these things, they become their own thing. There's one gal that I know that paid $20,000 to have somebody help her give the perfect sales pitch. And it was not, she had it down, but she wasn't making any money. The sales, it's the wrong thing. It's people. People bring you business. Relationships bring you business.
Oh shit! Sure, I thought she was there. That's true. And what I would say, just to kind of tie this together, when you create an avatar, you then try to find people that fit all the qualities and criteria and characteristics of the avatar. However, no one person is a perfect customer. Now, if you have the perfect customer, you don't need an avatar. You just need to go back to that customer who is the perfect customer and say, okay, tell me, why did you buy from us? What are you getting from us? How is it working out? And go through a series we have 5 questions that we ask that not only get you more business, get you USA, get you referrals, get you testimonials and endorsements, all from 5 structured questions, which you don't have to ask all at once. And to Melody's point, you don't have to go into a networking event and do all 3. Here's what I do, here's why I do it, here's who I'm looking for. Because it's not always the right environment. You could just say, wow, you know what? I'm really passionate about what I do, and here's why I do it. And that might lead. Or here's what my clients tell me we're really good at. And it might stop there. Or here's who I'm looking for. Point is, if you know those 3 things, you are unstoppable, and nobody can reject you because you're not asking them for something. You're saying, who do you know? Where should I go? Essentially. And you're practicing what I do, what I do, what I do. And you've got to say it through, like Gigi says, repetition. The thing is, our models are very simple. So they kind of work on a card, like Christy has, the 3 magic words, the RAM formula, the 5 questions of service, the 3 questions of reactivation. Everything is simple. The game is simple, and we try to simplify it. So if I may, before I get to Gigi, I'd like to take just a few minutes right now and talk about, if you'd like to join us, kind of what do you get, and then we can get back to our presentation and have everybody come out and share. All right, so this is the new game is selling in service. is not only a library of instructional collection, but it's also a context and a means by which you are going to attract, convert, keep more customers, and multiply your profits. That's the game we play. We do it because we want you to understand what your unique service advantage is. And that will enable you to attract more of the best kind of customers that you want. I coined a phrase many years ago, trusted voice of choice. 35 years ago, I introduced the trusted advisor, our company did, to the insurance and financial services industry. And we were one of the leading companies in that industry to train people how to be trusted advisors. Now everybody has to be a trusted advisor. So we want to be more. We want to be the trusted voice of choice so that you always feel good coming to me for a second opinion, even if I don't charge you or we don't do business. We want to help you convert and keep more customers, multiply your profit, and elevate your sales and service game. And to support you, we have an entire library, which I'll briefly show you, called the $1 Billion Playbook. We want to give you access 24/7 to our online library. And then we would like you to come and join us every week, or the weeks you can, into our training gym so you can play at the top of your game and work out and work in your business. Basically, we want to accomplish these things: transform service, which we all really want to give, into profit, and reduce the marketing expense in your business. More top line revenue, more bottom line profit with little or no expense. The expense is an investment in you, and the shift is a shift of attention from the front end of marketing to more of the back end of, I have customers, I have past customers, I have network resources, there's gold in them, their hills. How do I extract it? Our philosophy is very simple. Fast ROI 1, return of investment. Why? Because if you get your money back, then you're in the black from that. You're playing with what's known as house money, okay? Forever return on investment. So if you take what you got today and you use rejection-proof networking, or you ask the question, why did you buy from me? That should yield you return forever, because it's permanent. It's forever, all right? So quick money back, and then fast, after fast return of, forever return on. We want to help you actualize you, maximize your performance while you're on the field of play, and optimize your profit, all right? Here's the new game of selling. You want to attract true believers. You don't want to do what I spent 10 years doing, trying to convert the heathens, right? I'm not big on converting heathens, and I say that lovingly. We want true believers, and you don't need a lot of true believers to leverage and build your business. Second step, qualify. I call this the Grand Canyon of lost opportunity. We spend money to attract, market, and then we don't qualify people to see if they're a hungry fish, if they're really a prospect. We show you a couple of different ways to qualify, and the RAM formula, which we'll give you shortly, is one of the best qualifying formulas there is. And then where the rubber meets the road is when you convert browsers into buyers. And we use the 3 magic words along with a couple of other models. Then on the back end, we play the new game of service. You don't want to just attract customers, have them come in the front door and go out the back door. So you want to keep customers for life, hopefully, and have them coming back for more. Our members, God bless them, they've signed up again and again, all right? So we must be doing something right as they're coming back for more. But then you want to multiply your ROI from every customer. And we have 5 models to do that: bump, bundle, bargain, borrow, and back end. And we go through each of those in our online training. And all you need is one of those to multiply customers and get more value from every customer or client you have. And then reactivate dormant customers, inactive customers, past customers, because everybody goes through a buying cycle. And some of those people are actually ready to buy again, or they have another need. There's gold in them, there are hills. And we have 3 formulas that we show you how to reactivate past customers, okay? So we offer membership. The membership comes with a training gym, plus our $1 billion library, which I'll show you shortly. And we call it that because that material has created 3 billion, probably more now, of new revenue and new wealth for the 1 million people that have had the pleasure and privilege to train. This is what our online library looks like. We break each of these up into game plans. All right. So, for example, let's say your real challenge is attracting people that you're really good at qualifying, really good at converting. Then you can go right into the attract game plan, and you don't have to watch the whole program. You could go into individual plays, pick a play like the RAM formula, or the 5 questions of service, or rejection-proof networking, or RIPE, and you can use that without ever, so every single play within the game plan is standalone. And by the way, if you are a content creator, if you are a course creator, if you are a program designer, it's really to your best interest to design your programs so that each piece, as best you can, is standalone. We actually can sell a game plan to a company, an individual game plan, if that's all they need. All right, we don't do that with individuals. We give you the whole library. So if you're a course creator, program creator, and you have IP in your head, think about how you can structure it so that each part or piece or segment can be standalone, so that you can mix and match, sell pieces and parts, or phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and turn what might be a course into a 4-part engagement. Okay, that's how this is designed. These are all the, excuse me. This is our materials list. I'm not going to go through it, but you can see that any one of these models here can get you back return of investment easily. When you go into our online program, each game plan is set up, the videos like this, so you can check on start play any one video and not have to worry about watching all of them. You can pick whatever you want, and then they're average between 6 and 15 minutes, and a few of them are 20 and 25. All right, so that's kind of the lay of the land, what's behind the scenes. You're getting an experience of what our training is like here today. So here's the bottom line. We sell the $1 billion library, just the playbook and the online video materials, for $1,495. The training gym is 3 months. Every 3 months is $500. Okay, and you get to come every week. You get the recordings. You get the recaps. Okay, so the total is $1,995. We're giving a one-time friend courtesy of $1,000 because we want to give you a chance to get started. So you invest only $995. All right, and if you prefer, we actually have a 3-pay option, with the idea if you don't have the $995, you can invest $395 for a month, go out, make a sale, get your money back to pay the second month or the third month. Okay, but I'm going to give you an incentive that if you decide that it's good that you can pay in advance, like I've done with all the members, you get a 30-minute private second opinion with me anytime in the 3 months that you're a member. And in that 30 minutes, we're going to dive deep into whatever your situation is. And I'm going to give you a second opinion as to what I would recommend you do at that point. And in many cases, that 30 minutes could be worth, and by the way, I charge $9.95 for it, and it's on my website. So essentially, you're getting a $995 gift value. So here's how you do it. Matt is going to put all this in the chat, and we'll be sending it out for those of you who are watching, so you don't have to copy it down. But basically, if we have 2 different links, so the full pay link includes the second opinion. The 3 pay link is here. Matt will put those in the chat. Just fill in your name and address, agree to terms of use, just check the box, complete your order, and that takes to a payment page. You put in a password so you can get into your online library, create your account, and then check your email, and you're ready to go. And you can be up and running literally same day. Okay? So that's all there is. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing. Okay. Jeannie, if you have anything you want to share, then we'll just do our normal training for the rest of the time we have, and some of you can hang around, some of you have to leave. We appreciate that.
No, one of the things, and it goes with what you were talking about, I was thinking about when you talked about joining. I came the same way that Melody and Christy did. I started with one of your other courses. I actually joined the beginning because you were highly recommended from somebody that I respect a lot. But when Christy was talking, I was thinking that she was saying she's gotten a lot more clients. Mine, and hold off till I just say this, the second part as well, is I've gotten a lot less clients. But going back to what you said, it's the clients I want versus I'm just getting a lot of clients. I worked last year before I started working with you. I really worked on being okay with, I tell people, here's my price. And if they say no, I'm okay with it. And when I started working with you, it really reinforced a lot of that as well. And it allowed me to get the clients, because most of the time those weren't clients I wanted. Because I love it when people are like, I can do it cheaper. Yes, you can. Go do it. You know, and I don't, because sometimes it's like, no, you really can't because your time is worth something. But still, I'm like, you know what? They're not the people I want. And also what I really love doing is I focused more on those things. And it's giving me a lot more joy than, oh, yes, I can do a lot of other things, but I'm really not enjoying what I'm doing while I'm doing those things. And the other thing is, with this group, it's amazing how much, like you had talked about, people help us see what we don't see because we have a certain view. But it's funny the number of times where I wasn't looking for another view, but as people talk about what they're doing or what they're working on, or people are giving recommendations to them, the number of times it opened my eyes to another view for me that I had never considered. So it's amazing what you get out of this group without knowing that's what you need. You come in expecting one thing and get something entirely different.
A lot of that is because we don't really script this. It's really driven by what's going on with you. And Jeannie, sometimes you're quiet, right? You like to listen. She likes to listen. Other times, we spend a lot of time on one person, and everybody gets value because there's always something we can learn from somebody else, right? And I will say, and you can validate this, it is a very intimate group. People have shared things that they wouldn't ordinarily share in kind of a mastermind until they get comfortable, right? Because you kind of have to feel comfortable to come out and share something that might be personal. And so I don't like to use the term create a safe space. That kind of sounds like, jargon, all right? but we give you the space to come out and with no judgment and just totally focus. We're focused on you, and everybody gets the chance. And in between sessions, you're welcome to email me. All right, and if I can address it there and then, or if I can bring it up as something for the group, all right. I've met with each and every one of you. I don't think, Jeannie, you and I have we? No. Well, whenever you want, it's yours. Okay. So let's ask any of the guests if they want to come out and present something that we can give you an experience of what it would be like to have the group focus on you. Before I do that, let me real quick give you the RAM formula, because I mentioned it. I don't want to come have you say, oh, you didn't tell me what it was. It's an acronym. And here's what it stands for. R, result. Where are you going? What do you want? A, action. Tell me about what you're doing to get it. What kind of actions have you taken in the past? What are you doing right now? What do you plan to do in the future? M, measure. Are you on or off course? Measure. Two types of measurement: quantitative, qualitative. Quantitative is hard measurables. I'm getting more appointments. I'm converting more sales. I'm getting fewer, better clients. All right. I'm reaching more people. I'm getting referrals. Something that you can measure is quantifiable. Qualitative. Are you having fun? Are you stressed out? What's causing your stress? Where is that dimension tension coming from? All right. And then the final M, which is most important, for modify. And this is what tells you if you have a ready buyer, a getting ready buyer, or a tire kicker. All right. Because modify means if you're 1 degree off course. Imagine this. I'm in San Diego. My home state is New Jersey. If I get in a plane and it gets 1 degree off course between San Diego and New Jersey, do I wind up in New Jersey? No. You don't have to get, in fact, if you don't adjust when you're 1 degree off course, what do you tend to have happen? Do you tend to, or unless you have automatic pilot where you don't have to do anything and automatic adjusts, right? You might call that your inner GPS, right? But if you're measuring and you're not on course, you're not getting qualified leads, you're not qualifying, you're not converting, you're not getting customers to sign up with you again. Your tendency is if you're 1 degree off course, you wind up getting more off course if you don't correct course. That's obvious. And yet many of us don't know we're off course because we haven't run it through this model. What result? What are you doing to get there? Action. How do you measure and modify? Are you willing to change? Are you willing to modify? Are you willing to adjust? Are you willing to correct your course? You get back on course for where you're going. If the answer is yes, I'm ready, you have a ready buyer. If the answer is I'm not sure, that's okay. Now there's no sense you going into a presentation, a demonstration, persuasion, convincing. That person is not ready to change course. And until a person is ready, they're getting ready. So you can use the RAM formula, first of all, to help you gather data about whether or not you can help the person, but more importantly, to determine is or is you ain't ready to actually get what you want and get back on course. And if the answer is yes, I'm ready, I'm willing to modify, I'm willing to change, I'm willing to adjust, you have a ready buyer. Now, I'll give you a bonus here. All right? 3 other words that follow ready to know that you have a real buyer. And if these 4 criteria are not in place, you do not have a real buyer until all 4 are fulfilled. First is ready. Second, committed. I can be ready for something, but not committed to get it. And you've met people, you've been that way too. And we've all been there. We're ready, but we're not yet committed. If they're ready and committed, now the third criterion is willing. Are you willing to do or to shift your thinking or to shift your way of looking at things? Are you willing to do that, not to buy my course, product, service, but to get what you want? Remember, it's close versus commitment. Close is I've got to close you to make the sale. Commitment is that you're committed and you're ready to get what you want. You're willing to do what's necessary. Fourth criterion, able. Money, time, bandwidth, resources, people. If all 4 criteria are fulfilled, you have a real buyer. And now you can proceed to advance to the next stage of the relationship, which we call getting alignment, agreement, and commitment. If one of those 4 are not fulfilled, if they're not able, let's say you're not able because you really just don't have the time. And a lot of people, they'll tell you, I just don't have the time. Now isn't at the right time. Okay. Now the question, the magic question that has made me a fortune and eliminated a lot of my follow-up stress. What will take you from getting ready to being ready? What will take you from getting committed to being committed, or not committed to being committed? What will take you to being willing? And what will happen to make you able? Oh, I had a client once, big client, corporate client. And I think it was a $60,000, it's actually $66,000 proposal. And I have it in the IP program that many of our members have, an actual $66,000 proposal that we give to them. And they said, we'd really like to do this, but. And instead of me getting defensive, I said, well, what's the big but? All right. They said, well, our budget is shot for this year. And come October 1st, we get a whole new budget. And this was like in July. And he said, we'll have to wait till October to get started. There was a time issue. All right. Anybody ever experienced that where you're selling somebody and the budget is shot if it's a company or business or organization? But that doesn't mean the deal's killed, right? Because it could be that we just need to defer. I said, great. Can we have a letter of agreement that says you'll be starting on October 1st? He said, sure. Whereas the old me would have gone to like, oh my God, they just backed out of the deal. They're deferring to me. They don't want to say no, but they don't want to, and all that stuff that goes through our mind. And now we shift our state of being. It doesn't have to happen if you use this process. So do you have the bandwidth? Yes. Do you have the time? Yes. You have the resources? Yes. Do you have the people that you need? Yes. Do you have the money? Yes. Great. Now let's proceed. All right. So you're ready? Yes. You're committed? Yes. You're willing? Yes. Do you notice what shifts here in terms of this conversation? What do you notice about this conversation? Anybody? Any distinction or difference what you're used to hearing as far as training or sales or anything?
Yeah,
It's-
you're not overcoming objections. You're having them help you figure out how it's going to work out together.
And you're also putting some responsibility on them.
Right. It's all their responsibility. And I don't have to sell them. Okay. Big difference. And I know that if I ask these questions, chances are good nobody else is asking these questions. And there's a very good chance that I will now elevate my position to be number one in line when they are ready and they are committed. Okay. So I wanted to bring that up. All right. We have Annette. You wanted to come out, I think. What can we help you with?
Well, I'm doing two things. My main area of interest is, right?
Pick one.
Oh, okay. So at the moment, just to bring some money in, I want to sell things I already have that I made quite a few years ago. And I had a very good relationship with my customers, and I was selling them online for over 10 years. And the latest thing that I made, which was about I sold them online for a period of 10 years, but that was stopped in 2017 when my life changed. But this little hair is like a rear view mirror charm. And it hangs from your rear view mirror, and it comes with rules about how to drive safely. So my passion is, I love all animals with all my heart so dearly, and I really want every driver in the world to be so careful when they're driving that they will never harm an animal on the road or even a bird flying past. But I know that my customers are rabbit lovers, and they love rabbits because rabbits are my main animals in my life that I love. So when I was selling, I was mainly selling to rabbit lovers who love these little charms, and they're not necessarily passionate drivers of their car. They just love rabbits. But my passion underneath is to protect all animals, and especially when you're in a car, it's such a so that's my passion. But my customers, because I came off Etsy because it's charging crazy fees, it's now gone up to 1/3 of taking your sales, and I can't afford to charge a handmade price for this. Recoup my time and be able to do that really full time to try and make money. So I've got my own website, and I've got my Instagram page. And I try not to do hard sell, but I still try to sell because I did Marie Forleo's B School. So I know all about ideal customer avatar and all of that, but I haven't been able to put everything together yet. So actually everything you taught me here now, I love it. I love the no sell approach. And serving your customer. I've always wanted to serve my customer through my heart, because really I'm a empath, so a highly sensitive person. So I relate through love. But I'm just I'm at a roadblock. I really want to try and move some of these in a heart-centered way while I go on to my second passion, which is a book that I'll be writing that people will be able to use as a workbook. But in the meantime, I want to still do my hairs get some money in, and then keep the hair part alive because I love it so much. But at the same time, then do my second service to people, which is about using gratitude, which is another passion of mine. But this one is my first one I want to keep doing. So sorry for the long-winded explanation.
Let me ask you a question, because I did go to your website.
Okay.
I don't believe you have a buy button on your website unless didn't see it. Okay. That was my first observation. And if you do have a buy button, I couldn't find it. But that's, let me not go off on that. How much does it cost you to create one?
It's about 5 hours of my time. So
You
minimum.
do them all, you hand create them all?
Oh yeah, cut and sew on a machine, but stuffing them.
Just for time purposes.
Yeah.
What do you charge for people to buy them?
It's £49. So say £50 UK, British money. Yep.
So why do people spend that kind of money for that handmade hair?
Number one, they love it's handmade. Number one, they love supporting me because I love animals and they love animals and they want to support me. And because they love hairs. And yeah, because they know that I love animals so much, they love to support me loving animals. I think that's.
Okay. Do you know that for sure? Have you asked them, or are you presuming?
I know that for sure, selling since 2007. Yeah.
That's great. So for sake of time, I'm going to give you a couple of ways to think about this. Anything that's handmade, obviously taking up a lot of your time. So if you sell it for £50 and you put 5 hours in, minus the materials cost, whatever that might be, all right, you're getting paid £10 per hour.
Mm-hmm.
You see that?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. If you put 40 hours and you could fill up your time with people who want to buy, all right, 40 hours enables you to make what, 8 of these?
Yes,
Okay, so 8 times 50 is $400 minus your costs. If an opportunity came along where these could be, and this is going to bump up against your passion, but if you could sell a lot more of these, but they were machine made, how would you feel about it?
I would be open to mass producing them in a different format, not as the little stuffed plush animal toy, but maybe as some type of wooden charm that's printed or something, but with the same message. Yes, I would be really, really open to that, but I've explored some avenues, but the starting capital was too much and I hadn't tested the market for it. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you what I would do if I were you. You do this as a labor of love. There's
Yes.
nothing bad, right? It's a labor of love. However, it's going to be hard to make a living at it based on the time, the volume. Then you have to sell them. So you have to sell them and then you make them, or you make them, then you sell them, right? So you're kind of always going between producing them and selling.
Mm-hmm.
What if there was a business, a company? There's a company in America called AAA, AAA. I think it's the Automobile Association of America.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have a colleague who gets 5 cents a month from AAA, but he gets it from 3 million members. He had some sort of software device, gave them a license right to use it, and now he gets paid $150,000 a month just to license it. So let's say there were a company, see you, Gigi, like this or another company that you could go and get them to give them away or add them as a part of their service. So let's say your part costs were $3, because right now it seems like your biggest cost is labor.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
If your hard costs were a couple of dollars, pounds, that would be your hard cost. Suppose there was a company that every month, like an insurance company that sells car insurance, if they make $1,000 or $2,000 a year in car insurance, what if you licensed to them the design and you got a third party to produce them, or maybe they could produce them? And with every client that signed up a new insurance policy, they would get one of these put in their window. Now, whether they were animal lovers or not, it's immaterial. Now, you're not in the production business. Now, if this is a labor of love, you can continue to make them and charge a lot more for the ones that are handmade. But if you could get these made in some other iteration to produce kind of the same outcome, but only cost you a couple of dollars for the actual materials, it's conceivable that you could license it to a company who could give it away as a bonus, as a gift for signing up. So it could be an automobile company, an insurance company, and it doesn't have to be a big major company. So you would want to think about, if I shifted this from a labor of love, and I saw it as an invention, because right now your perception is it's a labor of love. What if we're an invention? And as an invention, you could find somebody who could bring it or give it away, and you can make $1, £1 per person. Well, what if they had 100,000 people a year that they signed up as new customers? So
Yeah, it's interesting.
my short, and again, this is very short, is that it's going to be hard for you to make a living as a labor of love.
Yes,
You
yes,
can keep doing it as a labor of love, but you're in this case you're trading 5 hours for $50 minus hard costs, and that's okay. Maybe you have a special edition where the people who pay $100 who want a handmade. But to me, outside of the fact that you love doing it, this is a product that should be licensed, and you should find distribution somewhere else and forget about trying to sell retail. I don't think you're going to make a living selling retail, but let's say you did. Let's say you were able to get a full 40 hours of work a week. If it costs you 5 hours, that's only 8 hairs that you could produce in 40 hours. Just straight, that's math. This is math. It has nothing to do with passion or what. So the math doesn't work. The passion is there, but sometimes we have to reorient. I think you would have a lot more passion if you knew next year you have the potential to make $100,000 and have 100,000 people have the hair, whatever virgin iteration. See, Chris? So that's what I would think the path that you should run. And I know it's a totally different way to think than to try to sell retail. But my observation, I'd certainly love anybody else to give you feedback, is that you're going to have a hard time making a living at this as a passion play, simply because the time equation and the money doesn't work. Now, if you can get 40 hours a week, make your 8 hairs, make your 400 pounds a week, and that's okay, just get more people. But I don't think it's viable. I think it's much more viable that if you put your tentacles out there and start thinking about who could literally give this away as a premium, as a gift, or whatever, And now you get into, animal lovers and all kinds of other possible niches, ponds of hungry fish where there are thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. Now you make one sale and potentially you sell hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands. And now you're getting paid to license something you created rather than having to, again,
Mhm.
the difference between a labor of love or an artisan who creates something and they love it. And so I'm not dissuading you from doing it as a labor of love. What I'm saying is, as a business, it has much more viability as a licensed product than it does as a custom-made, handmade delivery. So the short story is that's how I would shift my thinking and start looking for other opportunities while you continue maybe to get more retail customers.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. I and I can see that way as well. I've got a very broad, a very creative mind, so I usually can see a huge umbrella of things. I can see things that other, like you say, that other people can't really see. Yeah, I've thought about that in the past, but somehow I've.
Work backwards. Here's what you do.
Yep.
You work backwards from who could this benefit the most, not the end user, but the I call it selling through. What you're
Okay.
doing is you're selling to. You're
Right.
selling to the person who wants to buy. Whereas if you sell through, you can find an organization and then just give them the rights. And all of a sudden now you can have 4 or 5, 6 different companies that are distributing your product where you having to create.
Yeah. It's just like over here we have an insurance company. They don't do it anymore, but it's called Churchill, and they had the British Bulldog as a little flock with a nodding head. They gave away with every insurance, so maybe a lot of people wanted to become their customer just to get the little dog to put on the dashboard. Yeah.
You could also look at, animal lovers, animal shelters, all kinds of possible organizations. And they might also become a retail. So like an animal, a veterinarian, you could sell 10 to a veterinarian and have them displayed or have them give them away to whatever it may be. So your thinking goes from retail sales, selling to selling through, and then all of a sudden an incredibly large panoply of possible distributors. Now, of course, you can't do it handmade unless you charge a premium, and you could always do like, $100 special edition or whatever. But I see that as your most viable option at this point.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for your time and your suggestions. And this is being recorded, so I can listen to this over and great.
Yeah, I just want to throw out there, I put Bunnies by the Bay link in the chat because they're actually local to my area and they did something very similar. And they made homemade, grandma started making these bunny rabbits and she ended up making a deal with Hallmark. And Hallmark produced the Bunnies by the Bay. And they're still in business. They still have their downtown location and it's become more. It's the storybooks and things like that.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we've gone quite a bit over our usual time here.
Yes.
Akila or Catherine, either one of you want to say anything before we wind down here? Going once, going twice, 3 times.
I've been getting some word from them on chat. Becca said she's enjoying this very much, but no audio, so.
Okay. All right. So for those of you who have been guests, we thank you for joining us. We trust you got some good insight to what we do here, the kind of environment we work in, You saw a little bit about what's behind the scenes in terms of the access to the materials you would get. And so if you have any questions or anything, just go to the person who invited you. I'm certainly happy to answer your questions if you'd like to join us. And I'll just say, just a quote I use often, and is the way that I think it should be blocking me from the way it could be. We all have a certain way we think it should be, and we tend to want to do it the way we think it should be. And sometimes we get stuck in that narrow tunnel of the way we think it should be, and we don't realize that that's stopping us from seeing the whole playing field and embracing the way it could be. And our whole objective here is to help you see what could be and then turn it into reality. So on behalf of Matt, who I really can't tell you how much I appreciate him and all his support. Our members, thank you for joining us. Our guests, thank you for coming. And we certainly look forward to seeing as many of you next week as possible. And until then, like I like to say, I can't take my goals with me, but I will leave a piece of my soul with everyone I meet. And I think you've got a good taste of that today. So until we meet again, I thank you all for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you all next week.
All right. Thanks, everyone.